Hi guys, welcome to today's video and to my channel if you're new here. I'm Debbie if you don't know me, hello. And in today's video, as you know from the title, we're going to be doing a first impressions of the Lethal Cosmetics After Dark palette and the liners as well. If you've not seen the palette, this is it. A beautiful array of gorgeous colours, kind of a 90s colour scheme and theme to the palette. And I've got all of the gel liners as well, all 9 of them, but I'm only going to be using a couple in this video, and then I'll be using them in forthcoming looks with the palette as well. Also got one of their Wavelength highlighters in the shade Ionic, which we're going to try out in the video as well. Not part of this collection, but we're just going to use that today as well. So if you want to see what I think of the palette and liners and see me create my first look with them, then please keep on watching. Guys, just a little rundown on the palette itself. So normally if you buy from Lethal or in the past, you would get your custom palette in this kind of design. This is one that I made myself, and you would get all of your shadows as singles and you just pop them in there, magnetise on the back, and you don't have any spaces in between. For this palette it is a little bit bigger because it has those spaces in between, so it looks more like a palette. But on the back of the palette there are some little holes. See if I can show you. So you can just press the shades through and get them out of the palette, so you could mix and match any other Lethal shadows that you want. And you didn't need to buy the whole palette, it was available as singles as well. So if there's 1 or 2 colours that you like the look of, you can still invest in those, which I think is great that they're bringing out a new collection. And it is kind of a palette for people like me that prefer palettes, but that for people that love to buy singles, you can just pick up 1 or 2 and you don't need the full expense of buying the whole palette if you don't like those shades. So you also get, when you buy the bundle like I did, you get the stickers which you can decorate your palette with, which I haven't done so yet, but thought I'd show you the clean palette before I do that. So we are going to go in with the palette, but I thought I'd start by using the highlighter because I never feel quite myself until I'm highlighted up. I don't know why, I just feel a bit too flat without my highlighter. So this is one of their Wavelength pressed highlighters. They've got a few shades in this, 3 I think, but I went for the shade Ionic, which I just thought was more suitable for my skin tone and to go with a multitude of different looks as well. There is a lavendery kind of one I'm interested in, but I think this one's more versatile in terms of the looks it'd go with. So to try out the formula, I went for this one. I'm going to go in with a Sigma High Cheekbone Highlighter F3 to try that. Oh, that's such a pretty colour on me. I love that it's icy-ish, but it's still, it's not icy but with a grey cast, it's just icy, but beautiful. Really like that. Really love the little holographic packaging and that they're slim sort of cardboard as well. I like the sort of material that palettes are made of rather than being like a chunky plastic container that a lot of highlights come in. That is such a stunning colour. It's like got a bit of pink in there. I think it's going to blend in really nicely with lots of different blushes, from pink to more peachy as well, but really, really pretty. I might even do a bit of nose, chin and forehead highlighting with that because I just want to put it everywhere really. And then just blend that in a bit, and then we'll get on with the main event with the palette. I probably will be doing a multiple looks video with this one. I say this and I hope I have the time to do it, but I'm inspired to because it's just gorgeous, isn't it? This is a Debbie palette. I'm not so much of a pastels girl, but these are a bit more richer in colour, so I think these are more me than like pastels. Just think they've captured the 90s vibe so well. I was around at that time, clearly I'm ancient, and in the 90s, early 90s was a time when I was going out quite a lot, and I remember all of the fashion being these bright colours, and yeah, they've captured it really well. It's very reminiscent of that early 90s phase, I think. Love the fact there's some beautiful duochromes in here. That pink shade is calling my name. That's got a goldy duochrome in it. So what I'm going to do, I think, is stick to this quad. The way I look at this palette, I think you've got quads that you could make, like you could go with those four, these four, the four in the middle. Literally the way they've laid it out is so inspiring to me, and I think if you struggle to pick colours to go with one another, that's probably a good place to start. I just really wanted to dip into this lilac and this mint together and do quite a light look, which I don't do too often, so that's the plan for today. As I say, I've got a couple of the liners as well, and I think I'm going to use White in my waterline. This one's the shade Buffer, which is a white, and probably going to be doing a wing with Orcs, which is the kind of turquoisey one. But as I say, I've got them all and they'll all be coming up in the next video that I do if I do the 3 looks. Before we get into that, just a quick note on the giveaway that I announced in my 1000 subscribers video. I've picked the winner. I'm waiting for them to respond on Instagram, so I can't share the name, but I have picked the winner. Picked them at random and just put all of the names on pieces of paper. I got my husband to pull the name, and so we know who our winner is, but they don't know yet, I don't think, because they haven't seen the Instagram DM that I've sent them. So just giving them a bit of time to respond. So probably in my next video I'll let you know who that is, so that they get to know before everybody gets to know, if that makes sense. But anyway, on with today's look. I was thinking of using these over a white base, but I'm going to go with my favourite, the Sigma eyeshadow base in Persuade, I think. Because these aren't really pastels as such, I think they'll still pop okay over this. I'm only going to prime from kind of the middle of my socket and kind of to the edge there. I've been doing that a bit more lately so that I don't get a glut of product all over my eyes, because I'm going to go in with glitter glue and it's working well for me, so that's a good tip. So I'm going to start with this beautiful turquoise shade Proxy, and I'm going to put that in the inner part of my crease. I'm using the Jacqueline Hill JH40 brush to do that. Getting a little bit of fall down onto my lid, but we're going to be covering that with glitter glue and the shimmer shades, so we haven't got a problem there. These are powderier than I remember their formula being. It's been a long time since I've used a lethal palette. I am getting a little bit of fallout, so I'm just being ultra careful to tap off now and only take a tiny bit at a time. Yes, this is definitely a formula you're going to want to tap your brush off with, or definitely this particular shade. To blend that out, I'm going to go in with the white matte Frequency, the Kaleidos S2, and I'm just going to blend above that just to really soften it. Back in with a bit more of our original shade just to make sure we haven't lost the intensity of that. Next up, we're going in with the shade Sequence. I use quite a precise kind of tapered kind of flat brush because I want to get a kind of wing shape going on in the corner. So I'm turning the brush on its tip there, and then I'm going to join up with that original shade and just use a bit of a flicky kind of motion to fade that out at the edges. So now I'm pretty much just filling in the shape that I've created there. Creating a little bit of a blend now with that Proxy shade. They look beautiful sat next to each other. I love this shade of like a lilac-y tone like this, just so pretty. Swap into a Kaleidos S3, just want to really blend on these edges now, and I think a fluffier blending brush will help to achieve that a lot easier than when I was using it. I'm keeping the colour off of my lids because I'm going to put shimmer across the entirety of my lid, so I'm trying to avoid putting any mattes there. And again, I'm going to take Frequency just to blend at the top there. It's going to end up quite a soft pastel-y look, I think, despite me saying that I'm not a big fan of pastels, but I think these two colours together are so pretty. Okay, I'm going to cut my lids with NYX glitter primer as usual. This is the JH48 brush, I'm quite liking it. It's nice and small, it'll be great for packing colour on the lid, I think. It's really good for using with glitter glue. It's stiff enough to be able to really get into the socket of your eye. And now for the exciting bit, we're going in with Archade, and I'm gonna literally just put that all over the whole of my lids because it just looks stunning and I can't wait to use it. I'm using my Kaleidos S4, it looks like it's got some blue on it but it's stained, that's all. Oh yes, look at that. I don't have many beautiful duochromes in my collection, and whenever I see people using these duochrome shades I'm so jealous, but this one's stunning. Now this corner is always going to look a bit of a mess for me because this is where my wrinkles are, so if you're my sort of age, the wing liner is going to cover a multitude of sins there, so I am going to try and be careful there. As I say, it's going to get painted over if it doesn't look great anyway. That shade, oh it's beautiful. I think that might be one of my favourite ever shades that I've tried of Lethal. It's a pink to gold duochrome, which is a strange choice I think to put with purple and with that aquamarine teal colour, but it really does work. So before I do the lower lash line, I'm going to do the wing so that if I have to lean on the bottom of my eye, I'm not going to mess up what I've done underneath. Inside these there's a little kind of top to take off and it says to keep that. The only gel liners I've ever used really are Illamasqua and Melt, so I'm really excited to see ones from Lethal. I'm going to use my Sigma EO6, which has got a really precise kind of angled point to it. These seem really creamy, so I think we're going to be fine. I'm just going to create a wing just on this corner first, and then I'll probably use a different brush to fill it in. Favourite filling in brush is the EO5 by Sigma. It's just a bit fatter so you can cover a bit more ground a bit quicker. Alright, so that's the first wing done. Just going to quickly whiz through the other eye and then we'll start on the lower lash line and try one of these in the waterline as well, which will be exciting I think to see how they perform there. So that's both wings on. I think I'm going to go into Nightcall. I think I was going to stick in all of just these shades, but I do want a little bit more depth I think in my lower lash line, so I'm going to go for that shade. And then I'll probably blend it out with Sequence, the lighter purple. So I'm just going to pack that along the lower lash line to start with a pencil brush. And I'm just bringing that just slightly underneath that wing as well. Just very carefully tracing the underneath of that wing. I'm going to take that all the way in, apart from this very inner corner. Love that shade. I think that's a different shade of purple to any I've got in my collection, so that's always nice to find. Really just sort of using the pencil brush to pack, and then when I get under that wing I'm just being really careful to just trace the line there. And I'm going to use that Kaleidos S3 to blend underneath. I'm going to be using Sequence to do that. The inner corner I just think I'm going to stick with Archade, and I'm just going to bring that around and just wrap it there. And that's going on no glitter glue there, and it's still showing up really, really pretty. Okay, so liner for the waterline. So we're going in with Buffer, which is the white. A little bit nervous about doing this. I've never done a gel liner in the waterline, but I've seen other people have done it successfully, so hopefully this won't go horribly wrong. I'm using the JH47 brush. It's like a really, really flat brush, quite small, because I think I'll be able to use this and just stamp it. I'm not sure if that brush is doing a good job for me. I'm going to swap to a bigger one, a flat definer, as I think could be there for a long time. That's quite easy actually. Yeah, definitely the flat definer worked better. That's a super white waterline. I'm impressed with that. It's going to take me a while to perfect the technique a bit, I think. I wear contact lenses, I've got really sensitive eyes, but wow, that does look really impressive. Okay, I'm just going to hop off camera for mascara and a lip, and I'll be right back with you to sum up some thoughts on what I've tried today. Okay guys, here's the finished look. Finished it off with an LASplash lipstick. This one's Phantom from the Classic Horror collection. Such a beautiful grapey purple shade. It does take a bit of building up, but oh, it's so beautiful once you do that. And you can layer those on themselves without them getting too crumbly, so you can make them really opaque. But it's all about the Lethal stuff today, so what are my thoughts? So the highlighter, love it, want them all. enough said. I think that's gone on so smooth, so reflective, just beautiful. The hype is real on those. The palette, well, I only used obviously 5 shades I've used, I think, yeah, 5 shades. So I've used all of these and I've used this one. And formula so far, a little bit more powdery than I remember Lethal being, particularly this shade. I had quite a lot of fallout kind of go onto my lid using it, and I do only pick up the tiniest bit of powder on my brush and I do tap off, so if you don't like fallout, you're going to have to be very careful with that. I just don't remember them being that powdery before, so maybe it's just because I haven't used a Lethal shadow in a long time, but just something to be aware of. But the pigmentation is beautiful, they blend really well, and that purple shade, I love a lavendery kind of shade like that, and that is just stunning. But the star of the show for me was Archade, so this beautiful pink gold duochrome that I have on my lids. I think that would make a beautiful highlight actually, I might have to try that. But really impressed so far, as I always am with Lethal. I think the mattes are really pigmented, they're easy to blend, as I say, just a bit of fallout from them, but the shimmers are always stand out for me, and can't wait to dip into the rest of the shimmers in this palette. The liners then, obviously only tried a couple of the colours, and if I'm quite honest about liners, I always prefer to do my wings with a liquid liner. I think when you're my kind of age, it's easier, you don't have it dragging so much. But they perform pretty much the same as the Melt liquid liners, in that it's better if you've got my kind of age of eyes to kind of stamp them on a little bit rather than dragging across, as you'll get some skipping. But that's just a problem, you know, as you get a bit older. I think they'd glide on really smoothly on younger skin. The formula is really nice and creamy, probably more creamier than the Melt ones if you have those. A little bit looser of a formula, so a bit easier to work with. I use the white, of course, in my waterline, and I think that's how I'm going to end up using these more so than I will as wing liner. And to have like some of the vivid shades, like this pink shade, Bit Crush, that one's going to look beautiful in the waterline. And the yellow, I've got stereo there, that's going to look gorgeous. But I'm just so excited to play with those, because I've never really done that. I've never used like a flat definer brush to put a liquid kind of gel liner in my waterline. I wasn't even sure it was safe to do, and then I saw so many people doing it and they seemed to be fine. And as I say, I've got quite sensitive eyes, but they didn't even water when I was doing that. So excited for that, and I think I'm going to get so much use out of those. I love a neon waterline, and finding a neon pencil is quite difficult that really shows up, so I think these are going to be a great addition to my collection. But that sums up my thoughts to this point. Obviously, as I say, only a first impression. I've not used all the shades or all the liners, but that's my thoughts so far. Who wants to see a 3 looks 1 palette? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll do it if there's enough interest. I know I'm a bit late to the game with reviewing this collection, just with, you know, working full time and trying to schedule in the things I want to film. It does get difficult for me to do 3 looks 1 palettes, but I really had a good time doing this one, and I want to play more with the gel liners, so I am kind of interested to do it if there's enough interest out there for you guys to want to watch it. So please let me know, and let me know, did you buy the palette? Did you get the liners? What are your thoughts? I'd love to chat about it down in the comments. As you know, I always love to do that, and always try and reply to every comment with a personal reply. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you are new to my channel, I'd love it if you would consider subscribing before you go. But other than that, I hope you're having a lovely day or night wherever you are, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.